Here is the strangest trade in corporate America right now. This year, Oracle, one of the most profitable software companies in history, began the largest layoffs it has ever done. Analysts estimate up to 30,000 jobs, nearly 1 in 5 employees worldwide. And here is the twist. Oracle is not in trouble. Its order book has never been fuller. The same company cutting all those people is sitting on a $553 billion backlog of signed future business, anchored by a deal with OpenAI reported at $30 billion a year. The layoffs and the mega deal are not two separate stories. They are one story. Oracle is converting salaries into data centers, people into megawatts, to serve a single enormous customer. Today on The Current, we follow that money because this trade is quietly becoming the template for the entire industry. Why should you care about one company's restructuring? 2 reasons. First, if you own an index fund, you own Oracle, and this bet is now a meaningful piece of the market's AI story. Second, and more importantly, playbook spread. When the market rewards a company for cutting staff to fund AI infrastructure, every board of directors takes notes. Analysts estimate Oracle's cuts free up $8 to $10 billion in annual cash flow. If that math works, the org chart at every large company becomes a potential funding source for machines, your employer included. This episode is not about whether AI takes your job by outperforming you. It is about something already happening. Jobs traded away to pay for AI before the AI has proven it can pay anyone back. Chapter 1: How Oracle Got Here. In September 2025, Oracle revealed that its backlog of signed future contracts had exploded to hundreds of billions of dollars, driven by AI companies desperate for computing capacity. The stock jumped roughly 36% in a single day, its best session since 1992, and for a brief moment, Larry Ellison passed Elon Musk as the richest person alive. That backlog has since grown to about $553 billion, dominated by AI customers, with OpenAI's reported $30 billion a year commitment at the center, alongside deals tied to Meta and xAI. Wall Street loved it. But a backlog is a promise, not cash. To turn those contracts into revenue, Oracle first has to build the data centers, and building comes before billing. That gap between promising and collecting is where our story turns dark. Chapter 2: The Bill. To serve those contracts, Oracle's capital spending for fiscal 2026 is running around $50 billion, roughly $15 billion more than the company had guided Wall Street to expect just months earlier. Understand what that means for a company built on software economics. For decades, Oracle sold databases where every additional dollar of revenue cost almost nothing to deliver. Now it is in the construction business. Land, buildings, power substations, cooling, and millions of chips purchased up front years before the revenue arrives. In January, Oracle raised about $50 billion in debt and equity to help cover it, and executives signaled they were done borrowing for the year. So with the debt window closed and the construction bill growing, the cash had to come from somewhere inside the company. It came from payroll. Chapter 3: The Cuts. On March 31st, 2026, thousands of Oracle employees received termination notices. Many overnight. The rounds have continued since, and analysts at TD Cowen estimate the total could reach 30,000 positions. About 18% of the workforce, the deepest reduction in Oracle's history. The company's own filings put a price on it. A restructuring plan of about $2.1 billion, with nearly $1 billion already recorded. Notice the shape of this. Severance is being booked as a one-time cost, while the salaries it eliminates disappear from expenses forever. TD Cowen's estimate is that the cuts free $8 to $10 billion of cash every single year. Hold that number next to the $15 billion capex surprise from the last chapter. The layoffs did not happen despite the AI boom. They happened because of it. Put the two numbers side by side, and the machine economy stops being a metaphor. Roughly $8 to $10 billion a year in eliminated wages. Roughly $15 billion in unplanned data center spending. The layoffs cover most of the gap. This is a direct conversion of human overhead into machine capacity, executed through the cash flow statement. And the market has largely applauded because every dollar moved from salaries to servers buys backlog conversion, the thing the stock price now depends on. There is a bitter historical echo here. Software companies spent 30 years telling every other industry that automation would set their workers free for higher value work. Now the software industry itself is shedding workers, not because machines replaced them, but to pay for machines that might. The disruption came home, and it came through the finance department. Chapter 4. The uncomfortable question. Who is all this sacrifice for? Primarily, a customer that does not make money. OpenAI is reportedly committed to spending sums with Oracle that dwarf its own revenue, funded by continuous fundraising rather than profits. Think about the chain. Oracle fires tens of thousands of people to build capacity for a customer whose payments depend on investors continuing to fund its losses. If the AI investment climate cools and OpenAI renegotiates, delays, or shrinks its commitments, Oracle will have traded its people for empty buildings. That $553 billion backlog would not vanish, but backlogs can be rescheduled, and Wall Street prices them as if they were certain. Concentration risk was NVIDIA's story with 4 mystery customers. Oracle just wrote a more extreme version: one customer, one bet, no hedge. So how will we know if the trade worked? Watch 3 numbers over the next few quarters. First, backlog conversion. How fast that $553 billion actually turns into recognized revenue. Promises are patient, investors are not. Second, the margin on AI cloud revenue. Renting GPUs is a far thinner business than selling databases. And if Oracle swapped 50% margin software dollars for 10% margin infrastructure dollars, the profit engine shrinks even as revenue grows. Third, more cuts. If additional rounds follow, it signals the cash gap is still open. And one wildcard, any headline where OpenAI's spending plans wobble. On that day, Oracle's stock becomes the fastest thermometer of the entire AI build-out. None of this is a prediction, it is the dashboard for one of the biggest gambles in tech history. Let's close the file, strip away the press releases, and this week's Oracle story says something no keynote will ever say out loud. The AI build-out is not being funded only by venture capital and debt. It is being funded in part by payroll. Real salaries converted into real concrete and silicon, on the theory that machines will eventually generate more value than the people did. Maybe the theory is right, and Oracle emerges as the backbone of the AI century. Maybe it is wrong, and 30,000 careers were spent on infrastructure for a customer that could not ultimately pay. Either way, the trade has been made, and other companies are watching how the market grades it. That is the machine economy, and you are living in it. Subscribe now, because tomorrow we open the collapse file on Zoom, the startup that convinced SoftBank to spend $445 million on pizza robots.